Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. Today I'm going to do a little quick video on putting down irrigation tape. So let's kind of get after it. We're going to start kind of in this bit here. What I'm going to do, these ends on here, one side is wider than the other side. And what you want to do is slide this through the narrow end. Just pull it through. You want to make sure you cut it long enough that you can slide this back without your emitter being in the way. And then you're going to just roll this up a couple times. You can get it lined up in there and then pull it. And that's got this end set to length. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're rolling this out to the length. We've got 6 lines we got to run, so we're just rolling them all out at one time. We'll get it down here to the other end. Then what I'm going to do is cut it off. Now, I have a drip emitter right here, and I want to cut it long enough that this drip emitter is not going to be in my way. So when I install this valve, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut this off right here like this, and then I'm going to take one of these valves. Now, this is a row starter. You can get these that aren't valves. I like valves because if I decide if a row plays out before the rest of the garden and I want to shut it off for some reason, I can shut it off if I need more water in a certain area, but I've got plenty in other areas, then I can shut them off and just water the areas where I need it. So it's not that big of an expense difference to go ahead and go this way. But anyway, I've got that on there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay these lines out, and then we're going to hook them into the main line. Okay, now what we're going to do is we've got this tool here. This tool just makes a hole in here. It's different size tools for different size nozzles. Now we want to make sure we don't have any dirt in there. But what we're going to do is once we make that hole, we just push this kind of like that, and you can hear it snap into place. And we'll go ahead and do the rest of these. Like I say, it's an easy procedure. Now, if you end up moving your rows and you have your main line, they do make dummy plugs or goof plugs, if you want to call them, so you can plug these holes and move over if you've got a different layout that you want to do for your rows. Maybe you want one closer or something like that. Now these main lines, I have used these main lines for probably 10-15 years. This is a new one, but I have used a lot of these old ones, and they hold up real good. So it's not something that you would have to replace on a regular basis. This drip line here is an 8-inch drip emitter line. I like it better than using a foot, or sometimes I'll use 6-inch ones, but I think 8 is kind of universal, because if you don't watch where you plant, the furthest you can get away from the drip nozzle is 4 inches, and the plant can surely find where that water source is 4 inches away. So and plus it does wet an area, so at 8 inches it'll kind of wet the whole area there. But as you can see, it's a simple process. Now the drip tape I use is 15 mil, and so it's the thickest. They might make thicker, but this is the thickest that I know about. It's heavy duty, so it'll last a good long time. You can go with cheap 8 mil, but expect that not to last as long, and I don't want to be replacing it a lot. If you decide to change up and say you wanted to actually cut down on the amount of water you was dripping, and you could go to any different stage. I have some that's 16 inches or 15 inches, some that's 18 inches, some that's 24, and you can get 36 or 48. So if you're planting something like watermelons and you're putting them 4 foot apart or something, you won't be dripping water everywhere else and worry about it watering the weeds. but this is ideal for here. It's not a big problem. Now let's take a look at what the setup is as far as to regulate this line. Okay, at your faucet, when you hook this up, you're going to want a filter. Now, the size of your screen would be determined by your drip emitter output. Now these drip emitters are kind of low output. They're like a 1/4 gallon an hour at 10 pounds is what they're rated at. If you have a smaller output emitter, you want to use a finer screen. Now you can use the same finer screen on a emitter that puts out more. It's got plenty of flow through it to do that. Now I'm running these off of a 25 psi, and that's pounds per square inch for those that don't know, regulator. So this regulator drops this water that's at about 65 pounds. It'll drop it down to 25 pounds. Now it goes through, I use a timer here, and I have two separate sources so I don't overflow it. Now right now I've got it on manual, so it'll run a couple hours to go ahead and wet this down where it's just been used. There's a lot of different kinds of timers that you can get out there to fit your needs. You might just need a single outlet. I have other ones that have 4 outlets. And they're set up to where you can water them at different times. So what happens over here is when I take and water this area here at the bottom, it'll water at one time, and then when I water it at the top, it'll water it at another time. That way I don't end up flowing so much water through this that it drops my volume to where I got a higher line loss. With this extra pressure, I'm probably getting close to a 1/2 gallon an hour out of these, so I run it a couple hours at night, and I'm going to run it a couple hours today on this lower one so it can go ahead and water these purple hoe peas that we planted a couple days ago, and then it'll start its normal cycle. There's nothing I have to do when I put it on manual. It just, once it completes it, it'll go to its normal set cycle. This hose here, this is what they call 700 series poly. It's 1/2 inch diameter inside. You have these nice little connectors that just slide on, so there's not any big thing. Now I get all my supplies at Drip Depot. It seems that they're quick to ship stuff out. Anything over $49 or something, $49.99 or something, it's free shipping. So if you you order everything at one time, you're not going to pay extra for getting it there. But you can order your starters. On the end, I don't just plug them. You can plug them, or you can put like a figure-8 deal and just fold the line over. I actually put a line extension, or it's got actually a cap on the end of it. So if I wanted to extend the line to somewhere else, all I have to do is screw the cap off, and I can put another connector like this and send it on. But anyway, basically that's the drip system. There's nothing complicated about it. I will need to get back in here. I just noticed I've got a couple of ends here. I probably won't do this today, but I've got some that I didn't have enough valves, and whenever I put this in, I wanted to go ahead and run as many as I could, so I use these starters here that don't have shutoffs. So I'll come back and change that later. But basically that's what we're looking at. And if you like this video and you want to see more, just hit that subscribe, hit the bell button, give it a thumbs up, and share this video. Happy gardening.